This is Andrian.
And this is Ray. Welcome to the Talk Lab podcast.
Every 2 weeks, we'll invite a new guest and
In every session, we'll dig into their life, relationships, and perspectives.
one question at a time.
Let's Talk Lab!
Yay. Hello, welcome to the Talk Lab podcast. And this is the third episode with Meng. Woo! And this time, we'll talk about mental health. And we'll talk about how you can tackle different issues and the process that Meng have actually taken. Right, Ray?
Yeah, I think we've had a brief, so maybe you just share about your whole journey on how you overcome your different mental health and how you achieve wellness in your life and how you seek therapies.
So hi everyone, I'm Meng, and when it talks about, I'm very vocal about like mental health as well and mental wellness is because I personally went through a lot of shits, like, throughout my life. I'm only 25-year-old, but there are a lot of incidents that, but throughout the way, I found different tools that, help me to go through those hardships. And I think by sharing them, I think some people can find a new perspective to look into. Oh, okay, when I face this issue, maybe I can use this help. And one of the things I think is very important and it's not being taught enough, especially in Asian community, is like therapy, psychotherapy. And I started seeing a therapist when I was in sophomore in college. So the reason of whole seeing therapists is like that whole semester I was very, very anxious. Like very anxious and agitated and very stressed. I think a lot of students can relate. Like you have endless of work, you have financial problems, you want to eat out but you don't have enough money. I also went through USD is also very stressful, just saying, and you two can relate.
We can relate.
Yes.
We talk a lot about that.
Yes. So that is one part of it, and I also had relationship problems where I just broke up. I don't know how to navigate my my dynamic with my partner back then, and then I almost lost my scholarships because I didn't focus too much on academic. Like I do a lot of events and stuff. So basically my life was a mess. And at that point I was like, oh my God, I don't think I can do anything. I feel bad about myself every day. And at one point, the turning point was when there was one day I realized, oh wait, I can see a therapist in the school because it's free, and maybe someone who is professional in psychology and also mental health can help me. So I booked the session, and then it took me a long time. I took a whole semester to consider to go with it because in Asian community or in general, people are have the stigma and the stereotype of are you crazy? That's why you need to see a therapist.
Or you have a negative connotation. If you go to a therapy, it means that you have some issues. Mental issue. Or if you just
which is true. I have mental issues. Everyone have issues. And that's completely fine, but I didn't know back then. So that's why I started seeing a therapist. It's I felt like I am broken, and it's very hard for me to actually talk about that with my family or my friends and everything. I need a third person that doesn't know about my life, that I can open up without judgment, that I can talk about anything. So the first sessions I storm in and I say, I do not trust you because you are being paid to sit here to listen to my problem because I have trust issue. But the therapist is maybe I am, but I'm here to listen if you want to talk. So I open up a little. It's really hard to be vulnerable actually sometimes, to really talk about your thoughts about something that is really different from what people expect of you, to talk about things that you go through, you are ashamed of. And after a few sessions, I think during the summer, and then I stopped going to therapy, and because I don't want to face the issues, I'm oh my God, I found alcohol. Every week I drink, and then avoidance. Yes, avoidance. Yeah. And then at some point, I'm like, oh shit, I cannot do this anymore because it's not working anymore. I cannot like drink until blackout. So I went back to therapy again to talk about some issues, you know, like things that has been in my mind and that has been like preventing me to feel good about myself and things like that to talk about in my therapy. So that's basically how I started. I actually started in school, and it's free, you know, like so I encourage everyone who are still in school, if you face any issues, you should really like try to reach out to the therapist if you or counselors, you know, if you feel like you can't talk with anyone else like on social media or friends, you know, try to reach out to someone else to talk about it. Maybe they cannot provide anything, but maybe they can provide some solutions that help.
I think before we actually record this episode, we were saying that actually going, like, you can talk to friends, but I think sometimes friends doesn't have the tools or the framework to help you, to guide you. And some things you don't even want to talk to friends about, right? And you just feel too sensitive to share some information deep down inside you that you are afraid to share.
Yes, Andren is really like correct in this case, because why I would support and talk about why, if you face issues and if you have the resources to, you know, access to therapists, you should try it, is because they are trained, they have like enough knowledge to pinpoint what went wrong in your thought process, or like, is your behavior reflecting what you really want? And then as a third person, you know, they can see you from a distance, from the outside, because when we're inside our head, we don't know what's going on. Every day is just like, but if there's you tell someone what's going on, and then they're like, oh my god, maybe there is another way you can do that. I can give an real life example that back then in college is like, I have a mental filter that I think people hate me. I always think people hate me. I am very, very hyper vigilant, and that means like I pick up on cues and then I overthink it. I overread it. Like, for example, if someone gave me some face or they say no, and I'll be like, oh my god, they hate me. So that is like jumping to conclusion. I'm sure you have met people like that. So that is not a huge issue, but it will be a huge issue if like everything you see will be like that. You just reacting in that. And that was me when I was intern in my company, and then I always have all these bad thoughts about like, oh my god, is my boss like doesn't like, do they not like me? Am I doing a shitty work? Like, I judge myself a lot. And when I go into therapy and I talk with my therapist, I say, I think my boss hate me. And then she asked me, so what did she say? And I said, she said that the project is delayed and we need to move on. And then I was like, yeah, she hate me because she said that. She asked me, so where is the evidence that she hate you? Did she say that she hates you? And I was like, no. And then, why would you think so? And then I said, because she said the project is delayed and we need to move on. That means I'm not doing a good job. That means I'm a bad person. That means she hates bad person. That means she hates me. Did you see that how it comes? It's a loop where it becomes a loop, negative loop that comes in. But sometimes you need a third person to tell you and check on you to say, maybe it's not that the reality you're seeing. So that is a lot of work that I am doing in therapies, like to find someone who is objective and to check on like, why am I thinking like this? Is that reflecting the reality? Am I doing it the right way? So this is the most benefit I've gotten from like, you know, going to therapy.
And in a place without judgment, a place you feel safe to talk to. Because I think in previous episode, I think everyone has to also accept their vulnerability. Everyone has to accept that they're not perfect. Everyone has their own issues. They have their own demons inside their minds, their hearts. But you need to address it and talk to someone that is professional. And I think talking to friends is a good way too, to express your feelings. But sometimes friend doesn't give you the advice that you actually need. They would just give them their own opinion on how it works. And there is a saying is that 所有感情問題一律建議分手. It means in English is that all relationship issues, everyone would recommend you to break up. No one would give you any constructive feedback. Most people would just tell you that, come on, just break up. It doesn't work. Like, Why not just move on, right?
Yeah, that's correct. In a way where why I would suggest therapies as well is like because it's objective and you can have different tools. Like for example, not only they would because people go into therapy for different reasons. Like some people go into therapy to grieve. They lost someone they love, you know, death or like breakup or whatever. Some people go in to fix some traumas they experienced when during their childhood or when they are younger. Some people go in to fix a recent stuff, like they feel burnout at work and they don't know how to voice their opinion. It could be different reasons and it's completely fine because when we be as interesting, you know, like when we being vulnerable about those issues, we open up, we provide a space for people to help us to go through the stuff. You can't be strong all the time, like fight. It's just you can't always be in the fight or flight. Like you face issue, either you fight back hard, you hit people like physically, or like you just go straight, or you run away, you know, avoidance. But in between that, there is a space where you can stop and think, reflect, then react. And I think that is where therapy could be one of the channel that help you to structure your questions, your problems, your confusions, and then to see, you know, where can we go towards facing this incident.
Yeah, so I think because before you actually raised that point, I was thinking like therapy is no doubt a really good resources, but depends on the person by person, right? I mean, if you really have a good support system, good friends, good family, you're comfortable, you already know who's your true friends. But I mean, if you're someone that really have trust issues or don't really trust your friends, then maybe it's not a good idea. Or maybe you just move to a new place. You don't want to open up everything so fast. Then I think for these kind of scenarios, probably in therapy. But I think I just wanted to say a point, like when you enter therapy, sometimes you cannot be, because you need to go in with a mindset that you are seeking for help.
Yes.
You are seeking for help because you cannot go in like what you say, being strong and then like, oh, I don't have a problem, that kind, because nobody is gonna help. I mean, the therapist there is not gonna help you. At the end of the day, it's you yourself helping. They are just a medium to have that framework. So you always have to go in with the mindset that you're open and, you know, you explore with them openly on that journey.
Yeah. And you know, always think, don't think that therapy can just solve everything, because it's just like a guidance. To me, it's just like a guidance and like provide alternate perspectives that I cannot see myself. You know, we as a human, we just have a limited things that we can think, and sometimes because of our past experience, our thoughts, our core values, there's become like it restrict your view, and sometimes you need someone to say maybe there is a better way of doing that or dealing with that. So that's where therapy coming in. And another point I want to raise, you know, writing on this is like not every therapist will work out. Therapist is because therapy itself, it's very time consuming. It costs a lot of money, especially in Hong Kong. It's like a few thousand could be. And it, for some serious issues, for some traumas that boggling you for like long time, it takes months if not years to like solve it. So you can't expect everything can be solved in just 2 sessions. Like healing and mental health is a long process. Like no one can just hit the gym one time and then be like, oh, I'm fit, you know. Like it's just you know, like along the time you learn about yourself, and then you unlearn about things that is no longer good for you, and then you build something new. So that is why I would encourage people to try, because you don't know if that could help or not.
Then just because right now it's quite abstract for people that are listening, that, you know, potentially they want to seek a therapist. Can you also lay down the framework so that people that are willing to explore, or after listening to this podcast they want to explore, what's that whole experience like going to a therapy session? What's the rough structure, etc., so that people have an idea like, oh, what kind of mindset they should go into, and then typically what's the framework that they go about.
Yeah, I think Ray gave a very good suggestions, like, and advice, like you should have open mind, like when you walk into a therapy room, to be like, have the trust. But again, trust needs time to build. And so depending how much, you know, like you want to share, you can share across the time as well. And normally based on my experience, I've changed 3 therapists. Like I have one back in college on and off for 2 years, and then I had one therapist in after college, and then it didn't really work out, and then I said, okay, maybe we should end our work, and I moved on to another one that I've been seeing for over a year, consistently every 2 weeks. So in those sessions right now, I'm working on like some daily life, or sometimes I feel like, oh my god, there are some stuff that I feel confused. So I will go in, and it's just like talking to a friend or someone. I start talking about how the weeks has been, and then how do I feel like about things. Like for example, I'll go in and I'm like, I don't feel great today because like my partner talked about that made me feel sad. And then the conversation goes on. There'll be like for usually it's like 15 minutes or an hour, and then we talk about how I feel about it, what did I do, what do I think about that, and then sometimes the issues is being left like in the sessions because it takes longer time to process. And for certain therapists, usually they would give homework. They would be like, oh, maybe can you do this cognitive behavioral therapy, for example, write down. Back then in college, my therapist asked me to write down my thought, literally write down my thoughts, and then try to label them. What kind of thoughts are they? For example, I think that my boss hates me. It's called jumping to conclusion. Like I have no evidence, and I have to write down what is it about as well. And so that is one of the homework I did. And then some therapists, they prefer to like give you books to read and stuff like that, or some therapists, they just don't give you homework. Like, so it also depend on, it's very special. Like it really depends on the dynamic of you and your therapist as well.
Do they normally ask questions, or do they normally hear you like talk about your story or talk about your day before they do anything?
So again, as I said, it's really depend on the dynamics. So for mine, I talk a lot, that's why I'm here talking about my life and stuff. So I'll go in and I'm like, oh my god, I really hate this week, it sucks, blah blah blah. Or like, oh my god, this week has been nice, I did ABCD. And then they will prompt me when I stop. But I know some people, like some people, they go in, they don't know how to talk, so they will guide them, like, how do you feel? What do you think about that? What brings you here? And how did that make you feel? They prompt you to talk about that. They prompt you to think from another perspective. They see what is appropriate, and then they throw the ball and then see if you catch it or not. Like it's also like they trying to do the work with you. It's a communication happening. It's not just one way.
So you think like really understanding more about after you describe the whole session, the framework, actually it's not easy for you going into, because you have to really open up, and at the end of the day, if you do it consistently, you really understand more about yourself at a deeper level. And I don't think like a lot of people like, especially we discuss like we are on autopilot, right? We do things, we feel whether we're happy, hungry, all this, very immediate senses.
Yes.
But truly understanding, what makes us happy, what pleasures us, what makes us feel disgusting. So I think all that, if you're mature enough, of course you can sit down, reflect. But sometimes I think having that therapy session, and I think I just also want to plug in where, whether you're in, I think in HKUST, because that's where we're from, and Meng has, because there is a, HKUST counseling center, right? With really certified counselors.
So we from UST, and then I believe in most colleges or universities there are like counseling centers where you can reach out to if you're a student. And then like book a sessions is free. It's usually free in college, and you already paid the tuition fee, so why not just utilize all the resources. And I did it like I booked the sessions and then going in and to try it out. And it's always good because it's a self-discovery and self-awareness journey for me. As I, back in college, I also on autopilot, I drink a lot, I just want to go through day by day. But now I'm able to pause and think and reflect on things. I'm not perfect, but it's seeking improvement and growth. It's what therapy means to me, and has been good for my mental health, because when I feel agitated, or when I feel kind of depressed, or kind of feel anxious, I am able to stop and check on my feelings. Wait, I'm feeling anxious today at work. I don't feel like the normal me. what happened today? Did something trigger me? And then if it does, can I do something with it? So you gain some tools along the way that help you to live a better life. And maybe one day you don't need therapy anymore. It's on and off. So it's a different experience for everyone. What I'm trying to say is like, try it out as one of the channel that you can discover yourself or process feelings or try out stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I think for a few episodes that we have with Meng, first episode is basically understand others. Second is to more about understanding your passion. And the last one is to understand about yourself truly. So I think throughout the whole 3 podcasts that we recorded today is basically to give an understanding to each other, to yourself, and to improve on areas that you identified, the pitfalls.
Yeah.
And I think it would help you go a long way for you to really self-actualize instead of just being a date, like going on a 9-to-5 job. Maybe you really enjoy it, but do you understand yourself enough? Maybe you have, then congratulations to you. But if you have not, feel free to reach out to your friends, talk about it, because this podcast may not convince you yet.
You have to try it on your own.
You have to try it. You have to talk to your friends. If you really have issues, just don't be afraid to ask your friends, talk to your friends. They may not give you great advice, but they would give you, if they're really close to you, they would give you some advice. And if you decide to listen to them or not, maybe find a therapist that can help you, to facilitate you and take you to a place that you would finally be happy and to realize that you can be happy too. And I think
I just have one last point to make because I think completely agree with everything, but this more on relation on opening up. Because once you actually open up to yourself, understand who you are, and you open up to your friends, family. Maybe before that you don't want to open up to them. You go through that therapeutic session, therapy session, and then you understand and then you understand which friends that you want to share that about that very vulnerable piece of your life. So being vulnerable to your friends and family after that, and then I think you definitely feel more connected, right? I think this was also discussed in Sonia's topic where she started her Get Real stories. Basically she was quite close, right? But then after a while, like, she actually connected with her good friends at that personal level, and that's how you actually build and foster deeper bonds. And then life has some sort of meaning, that you don't just live for yourself, you connect with people. And at the end of the day, we're social beings, right? And why? It's that deepened connection. You don't want to be superficial, though I am guilty. Sometimes I have a lot of superficial relationships, but I'm working on, prioritizing and, really working with, friends that are close at a deeper level.
Also, so it also echoes back to us, is also to understand people when you think they may need help, to take the initiative to talk to people and ask. Actually, the deeper question is not about, how's work today, but about how have you actually been recently. And if they are really having issues, I think they're more than happy to talk to you and share the issues. And remember to give constructive advice and to help them and construct their problems and issues in a good way, instead of just telling them to just go to hell. Or if they ask for relationship issues, break up. Or if I give Ray's advice on Tesla, is sell.
And I lost a lot of money.
So that's what I've learned. Is you need to understand. If you don't understand enough, just say that you don't understand enough. Everyone is. If I just want to share my feelings, it's okay for you to just be a listener, and that sometimes it's all it takes, right?
Totally agree.
All right.
Anything else?
I think I just want to thank Meng for being such a great, I would say a third host on our different 3 episodes, and hopefully we can invite you back because down the road, a few years later, more how things are going with your partner, because you guys are engaged, and how your mental health, and what's the impact that you've done, because that's what we're really interested to know about. But really, thanks a lot for your sharing today.
Thank you for having a platform where can talk about stories and be vulnerable about things, and just share that stories about different people. That's really good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much for tuning in, and tune in to YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and comment, subscribe,
And let's talk lah!
and like us on various platforms. All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.